Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, Mariah's Moods. In this video, I want to talk about all of the books that I read in the month of April. So April was a fantastic reading month. I finished a total of 7 books, 3 of which were 5 stars, and I think I had a couple of 4s. So overall, a wonderful reading month. So I'm really happy with my reading in April because this month I decided to make an actual TBR list of books that I wanted to read this month, that I wanted to get done this month. Of that list, I actually read 4 of them. One of them I did DNF, which I talked about in my weekly vlog. So I am very, very happy with my reading. I am so proud of myself for actually accomplishing a big chunk of my TBR for this month. So I figured to be the most efficient and best for my memory, I would just go through the books in chronological order throughout the month which I read them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the wrap-up. So the first book that I read in the month of April was Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. This is a super cute and adorable YA romance. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this. So just to give you a quick rundown, because I feel like I've talked about this several times on my channel at this point, but this is following Brad and Celine. They were previously best friends, had a fallout, kind of became rivals. I'm not going to say enemies, but just like rivals, and just kind of drive each other crazy. They're both highly motivated for what they would like to do post high school. They're getting ready to finish high school. They're starting their university applications, and they both sign up to participate in this 2-week survivorship camp. Essentially, the top survivors of this camp will win a scholarship to any university of their choosing, as well as an internship, and just basically getting to meet a lot of high-profile business owners, lawyers, just kind of making some pretty important connections for their adult life. They are forced to work together in this survivorship camp to basically win the scholarship. And as they're working together, they are starting to kind of work through their fallout and move forward from that. This book was fantastic. Brad has OCD, so there's great OCD representation. Celine is a conspiracy theorist content creator on TikTok, so she's hilarious. But what I really, really enjoyed about this book was the conversations, the mature conversations that these two teens are having. I think that it is so important for the targeted demographic of YA readers to read these healthy conversations that both of these teens are having. They had their moments of immaturity because they are like 17, 18 years old, but when they sat down to really talk about what happened between the two of them when they were younger and how it made each other feel, like it was just so refreshing. I cannot recommend this book enough. So the second book that I finished in the month of April was River Sing Me Home by Eleanor Shrier. This book, I still think about it because it was fantastic. This was beautiful. I ended up giving it 5 stars. If I could give it more, I would. This was just absolutely stunning, heartbreakingly stunning. This is following Rachel. At the beginning of this story, Rachel is a slave in Barbados. We find out that slavery has been emancipated. Unfortunately, her master has said they have to work for him for an additional 6 years. Rachel is not about it, so she honestly just flees in the middle of the night. But she sets herself on a mission. Out of the many, many children that Rachel had over the years, she believes that 5 of them could still be local and alive. So she sets off to find her 5 missing and separated children. And it's just following Rachel's journey as she tries to find her children and learn what happened to them after they were separated from their mother. And when I tell you, this just breaks your heart, but then puts it back together. It's just absolutely stunning. Eleanor Shrier's writing is lyrical and beautiful and raw, and I love that she didn't shy away from the reality of what was happening to so many people at this point in time. It's just absolutely beautiful. There's so many stories that are being told through several characters throughout this story, not just Rachel, but Rachel's tenacity and just her drive to find her children is just like my heart. Like I cannot recommend this enough. I feel like I keep saying that with every book, but really this is so beautiful and I just love it. I just love it. So after that, I kind of made a shift. My original plan at the beginning of the month was to read 2 books from the Throne of Glass series in tandem with my book club. However, as a book club, we decided that we are going to just finish the Throne of Glass series independently and kind of just chat offline about our thoughts. We had a lot of new members join like in the middle of a series, so it was like really hard for them to catch up. So with that being said, I realized that the tandem reading of Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn for me was just too much, and I understand that you might get like the best out of it, but I did some research. I talked to some friends that have already finished the series, and they really said that the tandem reading of those 2 books is not really necessary. So I decided to stop the tandem, and I went ahead and I finished Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. OMG. OM to the motherfucking G. This was so good. So far in the series, this one is hands down my favorite. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I just love when we have like these parallel storylines and people kind of have separated, gone off on their separate ways, or like trying to accomplish something, or they've been separated for some other reason, and they just all like that moment where they're all like brought back together. I know that in this we still have some major characters that have not been reunited, but a big chunk of our cast was reunited towards the end of this book, and the way that this ended, I was like, no, absolutely not. Sarah Janet, how do you do it every single time? Like, I loved the like entirety of this book. I loved the reemergence of characters that we've seen from previous books in the series, and I don't want to go into like detail because I don't want to spoil it. But like the last 100 pages of this thing, oh my gosh. Like, I'm still reeling, and I know I'm getting to the end of the series, and I don't want to end it yet, but 5 out of 5 stars. I'm telling you, if you have not read Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, the series, please give it a try. Please give it a try. Get through those first couple of books, get to Air Fire, and man, the party gets started and does not stop. Okay, so my next book that I finished was another 5-star read, and it's honestly just like taken over my personality for the last week, and that is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is exactly what I needed this month. This book is just everything, absolutely everything. This is following Daisy. Daisy is a singer-songwriter that teams up with a band called The Six in the late 70s, and it's just kind of their rise to fame and how they were at the top and then they just broke up and stopped. This was so good. I love 60s, 70s rock. I love that transition, that emergence of rock and roll, and just how it changed from the 60s to the 70s, and then from there, like, it's just my vibe. One of my favorite movies of all time is Almost Famous, so I was getting that vibe from this book. But what I really loved about this was that it is told as a almost interview format, so it's written almost like the transcripts of an interview. It's just like a fresh take or a different take on telling a story and how you actually consume the story of this band. You're reading this interview of the major players that were in the band and associated with the band, and how we see the rise and fall of this group and all of the interconnected relationships that we find. There are so many awesome female characters, not just Daisy Jones. Daisy Jones was a force to be reckoned with, but there are, like, Karen was fantastic. I loved her, just like her, I'm a woman and I am a musician and I don't want you to see me anything but that. I loved that. Camilla's strength was on a whole nother level because I couldn't. I highly recommend either tandem reading this with the audiobook or just the audiobook, because it is a full cast, so you really feel like you're just listening to a podcast interview of these musicians, and it was absolutely fantastic. I know I'm super late to the party, but if you haven't read Daisy Jones yet, do it. Do it. So after Daisy Jones, I was in a book hangover. I wouldn't say a rut, but I honestly just could not stop thinking and consuming all things Daisy Jones. So reading was just kind of like bleh for me. So I took a shift and I listened to 2 novellas on Audible, and I really, really loved it. I didn't realize that Audible offers so much with your membership and a lot of Audible exclusive content. So I really had fun listening to these 2 novellas. So the first one that I read was Coming Home by Kennedy Ryan. This was really cute, kind of like a second chance romance. I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. I think it was cute, easily digestible, but nothing to write home about. It is following Tori and Naomi. They were really good friends in college. They both had feelings for each other but never really expressed those feelings towards one another. It was kind of one of those wrong time romances, if someone was in a relationship or someone wasn't available for a relationship. So it was just kind of like a missed connection. And then we follow them many, many years later as they are returning to their college for homecoming. Tori's daughter is actually the homecoming queen. Both of them are now highly acclaimed journalists, and so it's just kind of like this big deal of them coming back to their alma mater and having this exclusive interview of what their life has been post-college. But with that, they have their second chance at love, and it's very cute, very, just endearing, and I liked it. After that, I listened to Evil Eye by Madhuri Shakar. This was quite an interesting listen. This I gave 3.5 stars. Basically, it's following this mother and daughter through a series of phone calls and voicemails. So this mother is very, very overbearing and wants her daughter to find a husband, settle down, and just live a happy life as a wife. And the daughter is very, very independent, just kind of like, Mom, I'm living my life, I have a career, I want to find love. But again, that overbearing mother of, oh, I set you up on this blind date and this blind date, and I talked to this mother and we want to arrange your marriage, and just kind of that overbearing mother and the daughter trying to express her independence. Well, turns out that the daughter does end up finding someone that she wants to move in with and marry, but the mother is very, very suspicious and kind of seeing some red flags that the daughter is not. And then from there, things just, it goes off the rails. It becomes so unhinged, but in a really good way. It was very entertaining. I really loved the format in which this was performed through the phone calls and voicemails, because, it feels like you're listening in on someone's conversation over the phone, and it's very back and forth, and at some point, they're not getting in contact with each other, so it's you can hear the panic in the narrator's voice, and it's a full cast. So I highly recommend, if you have Audible, giving Evil Eye a chance, because it was highly, highly entertaining. The final book that I read in the month of April was The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. I have such mixed feelings about this book. It was quite the roller coaster. So this is following Alex. Alex is an aspiring writer, and she idolizes this very eccentric author, Rosa Callow. This author holds a writing retreat in which a small selection of female writers comes and I guess learns how to produce a great work of writing. And so Alex and her estranged ex-best friend are invited to this writing retreat. So we're just following Alex navigating through this retreat that ends up being not exactly what she thought it would be. So she's battling writer's block. She is having to deal with the drama of her ex-best friend that she has not talked to in over a year. Plus, she's trying to figure out what is going on with this neurotic author, Rosa. And then add another layer of a potential haunted retreat. So there's a lot going on in this book, and I think in the beginning it was done really well. It was very entertaining. It was very what is going on here? Where are we going? What is happening? We've got this cool cast of characters. Also, the premise tells us that someone goes missing in the snowstorm. But I will tell you, like, it honestly, the mystery does not happen until like 2/3 of the book, which was a little weird for me, but also I really enjoyed the first 2/3. But once the mystery starts, I just lost interest. I was like, okay, so this is where we're going with this. Why? I don't know. Like, it just wasn't my cup of tea. So I went ahead and I gave it 3 stars because I do feel like this is for certain people. Like, certain people are going to really, really love this book, and that's like totally valid. I just think that it wasn't what I was expecting or what I would have wanted from the premise of this book. Either way, 3 out of 5 stars. I would recommend it, but I'm going to say it probably won't be like your top thriller ever. Okay, so that is it. Those are the 7 books that I read in the month of April. I am so happy with April. So many 5 and 4-star books. I'm so excited to see what May brings, and I hope that I can just keep up this momentum. All right, everyone, that is all I have for you. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and I would greatly appreciate it if you were to subscribe to my channel. If you like all things bookish and lifestyle content, you are in the right place. I hope you're having a wonderful time out there and that your day is full of good moods and good vibes, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!